Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second of our online webinar series presented by SOHO Summit. I'm Chris. I'm going to be your host today and take you through part of the presentation. Use the chat function there to let me know if you're having any trouble, but it looks like most people are logged in now and everybody can see us. We're just testing a new webinar platform, so we've been testing each week to just make sure we can deliver the best product for you guys. So here we go. So of course today we're talking about future-proofing your business, and given that I think we're in like week 3 or 4 of this thing now. Chris and I were talking earlier, and you kind of lose track of time, don't you? A couple of housekeeping notes just as we get started. The webinar is going to be about 60 minutes. Chris and I are going to walk you through the future-proofing your business plan, and then we're going to leave about 15 minutes at the end for questions. So do submit your questions through the chat function, and we'll go through them and answer them at the end. The webinar is being recorded, so you will get a copy. We'll email you a copy of a link to the recording at the end. We also have a couple of polls that we'll do throughout the webinar, so watch for that. And then at the end of the webinar, there is going to be an offer for you, a free future-proof planning worksheet that you can fill out and a checklist that you can use. So just want to thank our 2 sponsors for the presentation today. So it's put on by SOHO Summit, but the one sponsor is Bewest, so that's my company. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. And then the other is the West Shore Chamber of Commerce. I see there's a couple of members of the executive from the West Shore and a bunch of the actual chamber members on the call today. So thanks very much to them as well. And of course, they've been great in pivoting their business so far and doing what would normally be in-person events. Mixers and whatnot are being done through Zoom now. So if you haven't been a part of that yet, check out the website and sign up for those. They've been awesome. So just quickly, a little bit about me. I've been doing online marketing for longer than I care to remember. I come from kind of traditional marketing or advertising background, having worked at McCann Erickson and Publicis in Toronto. Those are 2 of the biggest ad agencies in the world. So I kind of have a traditional background, but I've been doing online marketing for 20 plus years, long time. Founded Bewest in 2009, so almost 11 years ago. Co-founded Social Media Camp in 2010, and then of course SOHO Summit about 4 years ago in 2016. So that's me. Your other presenter today is the other Chris of the 2 Chris's, Chris Whiteley. He refers to himself as the web Swiss Army knife, which he is. He's got a wide range of skills. But I call him my WordPress ninja, my SEO all-star, and Facebook advertising dynamo. Of course, last week we did a session on Facebook advertising, and that is the recording for that is on the SOHO website as well, so you can check that out. A little bit about Bewest, as I said, founded 2009, so we've been at this almost 11 years. We're a lean, mean team of 4. We get a lot done just with the 4 of us. 50% of us are named Chris. And we were proud to have been recognized by Douglas Magazine for our work on the SOHO Summit. I think it was 4 years ago. We were one of the 10 to Watch award winners. And Douglas Magazine is actually the award winners for this year just got named about a week ago. And they were going to have the big presentation and an event that they normally do, which is fantastic. But of course, that has been put on hold as well. Few of the clients there that we work with, the YYJ, the airport, they were one of our first clients. We've been working with them for about 8 or 9 years, I think. And some of these we're going to talk about as part of the webinar today as examples of businesses that are pivoting. So Eagwing, the whale watching, Moss Healthcare, et cetera, is an IT company. Live Young up in Sydney, Medical Aesthetics, and then Oak Bay Marine Group, a bunch of others, but those are just a few. And nice little quote there from one of our clients, et cetera, the IT company over in Vancouver we've been working with for maybe 6 or 7 years. And then just a quote there on some of the SEO work we're doing for them. So we're pretty proud of that. All right, so future-proofing your business. So we're all in this together now. We've been, our worlds have been turned upside down. And, you know, there's really no guidebook for this. And I want to acknowledge that we all are coming at this from different industries, our different personal approaches in terms of how we handle adversity and whatnot. And for some businesses, this is catastrophic, you know, for a lot. So you know, I don't want to kind of downplay or make this sound like a simple thing. I know there's some restaurants that have had to completely close their doors. There's other businesses that are able to pivot quickly based on their business model. And some businesses that frankly are in good shape and will thrive because of this, because they're in an industry that's in high demand right now. So this presentation today is going to apply to you in different ways. For some, it will be easy and quick. For some, it won't. So I just want to acknowledge that. I've also put a lot of thought into how to kind of contextualize this, because that's how my mind works. You know, I try to create a kind of a model or a story or an analogy. And so as a good Canadian and a hockey player, of course, my mind went to hockey. We know that all of the major league sports were one of the first to suspend their seasons, which of course got everybody's attention. And the one that affected me the most was, of course, the NHL, because it looked like the Leafs were on the run this year. It was gonna be their year. And so the analogy here is that you know, our season, you know, hockey, business, everything is completely upended. There's no more schedule. There are no more teams. There's no one to root for. There's nothing to watch. And so, you know, all of us really don't know how long this is going to last, how bad it's going to get. And there's just no kind of format or nothing that we can really rely on. So the analogy in my mind is that we've gone from this kind of regular season to we're kind of all playing pond hockey now. And what I mean by that is that, you know, I think most of us have gotten over the initial shock and we've realized that, well, business carries on. You know, we got to keep going. We've got to look for a local pickup game. And so that's kind of what we're doing. So pond hockey, pickup hockey, or whether you're a basketball fan, you know, pickup basketball game, is there's no rules to it. You know, we don't know where the games are. We're looking for the game. There's no timing. There's no refs. There's no offside. You know, we're just making it up as we go. But we got to do it. You know, we're out there looking for business and helping each other and working with each other. So that's sort of the way that I'm trying to look at it and the analogy. And of course, another great, just to carry the analogy a bit further, is Wayne Gretzky's quote that I skate to where the puck is going, not to where it has been. So I've been, and I know probably a lot of us are trying to figure out, well, where is this thing going? How can I adapt, and where is the puck going to be? And of course, that's almost impossible to answer, but there are some tools and different things that we can do to try to figure that out and to try to you know, make the best of this situation. So that sort of leads into this presentation, and what we're going to talk about today is looking for from our business perspective, where is the puck going to be, and how can I make sure that I'm there when it gets there? So hopefully you can kind of, that makes sense to you, or you maybe have your own analogy that's you know, the way that you make sense of this stuff. So with that, I'll get into the agenda for today. So 3 items that we mentioned we were going to talk about is the only 3 online business models that you'll really need to consider. So it kind of comes down to 3 things. So moving your business from offline to online. The second one is how to bring any business online using only one thing. Hint, you already have it. And so I'm going to talk about number 1, and then Chris Whiteley is going to talk about number 2 and number 3, which is the one-size-fits-all marketing plan that will transform strangers into buyers. So those are the 3 areas we're going to go through today. So about you, when you registered for the webinar on Eventbrite, and I apologize that we kind of went half Eventbrite and then half Webinar Jam when you signed up. So thanks for hanging in there with us on that. But these are one of the questions we asked is, what is your goal in attending the webinar today? And so we kind of consolidated them down, but we found a few commonalities. One is people that said that they want to use what they have to support their business, so the existing tools, and that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today. The other is learn how to protect my business. So I think everybody, our first instinct is, okay, well, how do we maybe cut expenses? How do we just protect what we've got now and just stay afloat till we can figure out what's going on and how we're going to best adapt and pivot. The other was to gain valuable tools for a stronger online business, and that's a lot about what we're going to talk about today, and learn new avenues to keep my business afloat. So again, kind of a common theme there. So at this point, I'm actually going to launch our first poll. So we'll see how this works, but that should pop up on your screen now. Let's see, publish, there we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see the poll there. Please go ahead and answer that. Oh, there we go, okay. Now, can you guys see the answers to the poll as well? I'm not sure. Maybe put in the chat function there if you can see the answers. Oh, okay, Chris is saying, yeah, if you can't, so in your, just to the right, you should have a little kind of module, and you can click on the poll function if you don't see that there. So it looks like so far it's about 75% yes, 25% no. So mostly business owners on the call, others maybe working within a business that want to know how to help the owner pivot. So that's great. Okay, I'm going to end that poll now. There we go, and we'll carry on. So I want to start just by looking at a few stats, just to give us all a sense for kind of what's happening out there, how things are moving. And so these stats are thanks to Future Proofing Next, which is a company out of Toronto. If anyone attended Social Media Camp a few years ago, you might have remembered keynote speaker Sean Moffat. Actually, he's spoken twice. I think he spoke last year and about 4 years ago. This is his company that he's created, and they're doing some research. And so these are just some of the stats to give you a sense for how other businesses are, what's happening in the industry, basically. So Global Stats Roundup, impact due to COVID-19, supermarket sales up 22%. And actually, if anyone's been to Costco or any of the superstores over the last couple of days, that number has probably gone up quite a bit since. Convenience store sales also up 30%. 6 times more images of people washing their hands being used in ads, so that's interesting. 3 times more images of fitness and electronics in ads. And of course, news viewership has gone up quite a bit as well, although we've been trying to scale back on that just to focus on business and not get too caught up in the media. How people are spending their time. So a lot more streaming happening, obviously. Netflix going through the roof, people watching TV, more people gaming, a lot more cooking, certainly in our household too. That's been a nice kind of bonus. Lots of cooking, time spent with kids cooking and so on. And of course, people are spending more time on Facebook as well, although we're trying to cut back on that too. So a little more relevant to businesses, marketing impacts. So almost 60% more reaching out to clients, and certainly that was one of the first things that we did, was reached out to clients to see how they were doing, see how we could help and so on. More email marketing going on. It's still a great way to connect with clients. 25% less cold calling. I found that one interesting because I can't imagine anyone who would be doing any cold calling right now. And 33% less direct mail. In terms of finance and economy, so research or surveying people to ask how this is going to impact their personal finances. So 31% think there'll be a big impact, 62 small impact. In terms of local economy, 73% feel like there's going to be a big impact. And of course, I think that's what most of us are kind of feeling, and maybe why we're on the call today. And so with that, I'm going to look at a couple of examples. So I see someone saying they can see the chat, but no answers. Yeah, we haven't answered any questions yet on the chat. We're going to do that at the end of the call, and someone said no poll icon. So a bunch of people have answered the poll. So I'm not sure how Webinar Jam looks to the end user, but over on the right, you should have a module with a link to the poll. There's a bunch of great examples coming out already of companies that have pivoted or just kind of doing the right thing and stepping up and doing what they can to help the local economies, the frontline medical health professionals, and so on. And so I just took a quick look at a couple of those. And again, keeping with the hockey theme, Bauer, who makes lots of hockey equipment, including face masks for helmets, quickly pivoted to creating the shields, the face masks for the healthcare professionals. And the great thing about what they went a step further, and you can see how they announced it here on Instagram, is that they made all of their design files free to the public. So anyone else who has a 3D printer or does fabrication could take their plans, their design files, and then load them right into the 3D printer and create these products as well. So seeing lots of stuff like that happening out there, which I think is fabulous. Another example, and these guys were actually on 60 Minutes the other night, if anyone saw that. It's a company down in New York State called Bednark, and they are a fabrication company. And they were, of course, as everyone else, they were affected by what's happening, and they were about to lay off 30% of their staff. But before they did that, they went out with this note on Instagram and put out a call to the healthcare professionals to say, hey, we do have these 3D printing capabilities, and is there any way that we can help? And they got lots of input and calls back, and so they quickly transitioned. You can see here they said in 72 hours they developed a prototype for Department of Health approval, and then they built up a supply chain and converted this greenhouse into a manufacturing facility. So rather than laying off 30% of their staff, they ended up having to hire 100 new people, and now they're making 20,000 face shields a day. So just two really great examples of companies pivoting and using their existing capabilities to help out in this case. And I'm not sure financially what the arrangements are. Of course, you can't be doing things like this on that scale for free, but I'm sure that they've worked out a business model that works. So with that, I'm going to get into today's agenda, and the part that I'm going to cover are the 3 online business models that you'll need to consider. So again, we're all in different industries, different stages of business, but these are the 3 business models that are going to most likely apply to 90% of us, where you can move your business from offline to online. So the first one is e-commerce, is just selling things online. So if you're already an e-commerce business, you're probably not on this call because you're doing fine. You're just going to have to maybe migrate your marketing a little bit. But if you're not, then that's one way that you can pivot to start selling products online. Let's say you were a brick and mortar store and just selling retail. You can migrate your products online, and we're going to talk about that. The second one is online services, and the third one is education and consulting. So I'm going to walk through each of these 3. So in terms of e-commerce, so as I mentioned, these are physical products. If you have a retail outlet, if you have digital downloads, then probably you're online already, so you're in good shape. The other, and this is one of the most common ones I'm seeing, and we've had some examples where we're working with companies, is food services with either pickup and or delivery. So maybe restaurants that normally didn't do pickup or delivery are now migrating and pivoting to that because you can't have people in the restaurant for the time being. So some of the tools that you might use to do this: Shopify, eBay, Etsy, WooCommerce, Magento. And so looking at some local examples, so a lot of you on the call will probably recognize Castro from House of Botang. Great food, just not far from our office here. So of course they're a small kind of restaurant cafe. I think they maybe have about 30 seats, maybe 40, something like that. And of course, can't have anybody in the restaurant. So what to do? This is their website. I noticed and we don't work with them, but I noticed this, so I thought this was a great example. Of course, they talk about the fact that they had to close down, but they say, click here to see this week's menu. So what they're doing is they're still taking orders and then either delivering, or you can come by and pick it up. So there's that message there, a little bit larger. And then what they do, if you click that link, you go to their Facebook page, and that's where you can see there they have the menu, and each week they'll change up the menu and offer different things. So this is what's available this week. So you can have a look at that, and then give House of Botang a call. They'll cook it up, go down and pick it up, or they'll have it delivered. So this is, I've seen lots of restaurants doing this. Of course, it's not going to kind of completely fill their revenue stream as to what they were before, but it's a way to keep a few people employed and keep things going, and just build goodwill and stay top of mind until the smoke settles and we're able to get back to the new normal. So one example. Another one, this is a little bit different, is Running Room. Again, kind of a local company, and they have a retail outlet. They're selling in store. They also already sold online as well, but I just thought this was an email I got just a couple of days ago from them. And it was just an interesting pivot to, again, stay relevant and do something to kind of maintain that relationship with their clients and provide value in these kind of uncertain times. And of course, if you're a runner, you're probably familiar with the Running Room, and you're still out running, and that's something that we can do just to stay fit and kind of stay sane in these crazy times. So what they're doing is, this is the other part of the email, is they're offering a free gait analysis virtually from the shoe experts. So they're using Zoom, and I haven't actually done it yet, but I was going to book a time. But you can see they've got the 6 gait analysis specialists there that you can choose. You can click on one of them, and then it goes to one of the tools, which is Calendly, and you can book a time to get your gait analysis done, and then they'll set it all up. You just use Zoom, you kind of walk, they analyze your gait, and then determine which will be the best shoe for you. So I think that's an interesting example, and depending on your business, you can probably see a correlation between that and maybe how you can do something similar with your business. The second business model is online services, and this is the one that Bewest is kind of falling into here, and also SOHO. SOHO being normally a in-person event. We're actually going to migrate and do not only these webinars, which used to be in-person kind of live workshops, and the event in October, which some of you have attended, and is an in-person event we had at the conference center, and then at the casino. We're now going to do that as a virtual event, so it's all going to be online. So these are examples of migrating from an offline model to an online. So other businesses that fall into that kind of category would be tax preparation, so accountants. So obviously that's pretty timely right now. Legal services, so our lawyer, I've already been dealing with them on this, and that's been interesting. Accounting, financial planning, counseling, so anything like that where normally people would go into your office, or maybe you would meet them. Now we have to take all of that online. So tools like Zoom, no doubt you've probably attended way more Zoom meetings in the last 3 weeks than you did in the previous 3 years. Then using tools like Dropbox, Slack, and Basecamp for project management, Calendly, and then DocuSign is actually what we're using with our accountant and lawyer, where you can actually legally sign documents online, and they are, I guess, legally binding. And we're going to, we won't walk through all of these tools on this particular webinar, but we will, at the end, when we do the project management checklist, or sorry, business planning checklist, we're going to get a sense for which are the most popular tools, and we're going to start to work on webinars for each of these tools as well. So some examples of this, one of our clients is Moss Healthcare. They're in Fairfield. They're at the corner of Moss and May, got about, I think about a 10,000 square foot office. with about 25 different practitioners in there, including dentists, chiropractors, massage therapists, all of which, they're not allowed to practice their actual profession right now, because obviously you have to have the 6 feet distancing, and it can't be anything where it's kind of hands-on. However, one of the other services within what they do is counseling and psychiatric. And so using Jane app, which is the app that they already had built in to book appointments, you can still book an appointment for one of their counseling services, which then get delivered via Zoom. So of course, not the same as being in person, but if you do need some help in that way, then this is a way to be able to deliver that. And of course, the Zoom, or whether it's like Webinar Jam, you can do it as well. There's lots of different tools. You can have these sessions with either one-on-one or even with groups, as we've seen with the Chamber of Commerce, and carry on and continue your business. So that's another option. The third business model is education and consulting. So a lot of us kind of fall into that area as well, and we kind of straddle 2 and 3. But so that's where you can create information products, courses, training, or just provide consulting online. And again, tools like Zoom, Kajabi, Thinkific, Teachable, ClickFunnels, these are all tools that can be used to create courses and deliver curriculums. And whether you want to have, maybe pivot to a membership model for your business. I think a lot of interesting and innovative and good things are going to come out of this that we can't maybe see just yet, but it is a time for a lot of us to kind of step back, rethink our existing business model, and come out of this with something new and potentially even better and more productive. So we hope that you fall into one of those categories. Some examples of this, AeroCourse, one of the clients we work with, they're out of Toronto, and they are a ground school kind of aviation training business that's I think been going about 30 years or so. And they do in-class sessions across the country. So right from Vancouver to Halifax. Of course, again, can't do that now, but it's one of the businesses that is fairly easy to migrate from that in-class to online. So of course they have to use these different tools, and they have to rejig all of their curriculum and training and so on, and get it all online. So that takes some time to get that all set up, let people know about it. But it's kind of a fairly quick pivot from offline to online. And I think they're going to find that there are there's some economies of scale and efficiencies there that may potentially make their business even more profitable going forward. So that brings us to the second item of the agenda, how to bring your business online using only one thing that you already have. So we're going to tell you about that in a second. And just before I kick it over to Mr. Whiteley, I actually wanted to launch the second poll. Let's see now, here we go. And so I just launched that, and the question there is, which of these 3 business models do you think your company can fit into, or which do you think you will want to use going forward? Oh, okay, there you are. So we'll give that poll a couple of seconds to fill in while Chris moves his slides over and gets started.
So I'm just watching the poll right now, and I see the education consulting is the biggest one right there, 60%. Online services hovering in that 30% range. E-commerce at 8%. I think what the world needs more of right now is e-commerce, it looks like.
I'm just going through the chat and reading up some of the questions. Okay.
All right. Well, while everyone is answering, I wanted to share a quick story that kind of leads into my next section. Unless Mr. B, you had another thing to share beforehand.
No, I was just going to introduce. Well, I've already introduced you, so I'll just kick it over to you. I will mute myself, and I'll end the poll in a second. But yeah, it looks like education consulting definitely in the lead there at 55, 37% online services, and then 7% e-commerce, because as I said, a lot of those people are already doing business. All right, so over to you, Chris.
Yeah. So Mr. B introduced me earlier as the web Swiss Army knife. That's definitely where I fall into. I've picked up a lot of skills over the years trying to fill holes in businesses and kind of help people out where they need help. And because of that, my skill set has kind of become pretty broad, and which makes life really exciting, even more exciting than kind of what things are right now. So the interesting part about this whole thing is Chris keeps using the word pivot. I'm not as refined, and I like to use the word change. And I feel that change is really happening, like in really small and subtle ways as well. Like I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday, and she had said to me, I don't think people are gonna shake hands after this. And I said, what are you talking about? Shaking hands is always going to be the thing. And she said, no, I think something is gonna change where people are gonna be a little hesitant to have that physical contact. And I just thought, wow, that just blows my mind in that capacity, where so many things are changing, and the way we do things, what used to be normal is now going to be totally alien, and this new norm is going to be coming into place. And I think that is important for us to realize when it comes to our business, is that we may not be doing business in the same way we have in the past. And we have to make sure that we are open to that type of change or that type of pivot in order to be successful, in order to be prepared for what's going to happen in the future. I mean, we're all kind of getting used to this, but who knows what the next norm is going to be. So in this case, we want to talk about how you can bring any business online. And a lot of you may be thinking, as you're kind of going through that survey, like, none of those three models fit where my business is right now. Some businesses, it's really easy to transition online. So like Chris had mentioned the retail side of things. It's really easy to shift from being a retail store to being an online shop. But there are many cases where people, their business is going to kind of feel like, I'm moving online. I'm that square peg trying to fit into this round hole. How can I shoehorn myself into a model that works online? And that's what I want to kind of talk about today. So I've got two really interesting stories that have kind of people who have taken this this physical physical in-person kind of business model and transitioned it to something online. The first one is this woman named Danielle White. She is a hairstylist. She works in a salon, and to be able to bring that online is somewhat challenging. You can't virtually cut someone's hair. I mean, as we're all learning in this place, a lot of people have pretty shaggy hair at this point. I'm lucky that I have the what I'm calling the COVID cut, and it's nice and easy to maintain. But hairstylists, of course, can't cut hair in this world right now. So her story is that she was cutting hair. A lot of the women's hair that she was cutting, very beautiful, very luxurious, and she felt a little unhappy about that with her own hair. And so she started looking into hair extensions, but was very disappointed with the technique that people use to put hair extensions into people's hair. So she created her own way of doing it that worked better than the current strategy that hairstylists were using to implement. That's not the right word. Hair extensions. It was picked up by a lot of people as the new and best way to do it. And she started teaching this to people. She ended up transitioning that not only from teaching people how to use hair extensions, but how to run a salon, how to do it online. And she's doing training. She's sharing her kind of strategy with people and making money doing that. So that is a way that a hairstylist kind of took that model and moved it online. My favorite story is a man named Ben Wilson. He is a hot dog cart vendor. For any of you who are familiar with me, I am a hot dog aficionado. I love hot dogs for some weird and strange reason. I know it's not healthy. It's not the cool thing to be a hot dog guy, but I love them. Now, Ben, in 2007, lost everything. And he was desperate to feed his family. He had, I think he said 3 or 4 kids, and he needed to do something. So he ended up buying a used hot dog cart and basically just wandered around town selling hot dogs. Now, of course, this isn't really sustainable so he managed to, of course, take the money he made to buy another hot dog cart, turned it into a profitable business. That caught on, and people wanted to learn how to build a hot dog cart business. He transitioned that into actually hot dog cart business consulting, which is just, it's the kind of thing you would never think of something like that. But he took a physical business of wandering the streets, peddling hot dogs, to a business model online where he's actually teaching people how to create a hot dog based business. And so that brings me to the one thing that is necessary to bring any business online, and that is your expertise, your knowledge, and your experience. This is the one thing that sets you apart from everyone. And I mean, even if you say you're a real estate agent, every single real estate agent is going to have that different expertise, that different experiences that drive who they are and the knowledge that they have. And if you can just tap into that, there's a way to transition that onto an online model. Now, there are going to be some cases, for example, real estate, where, well, how do I transition that to online, where I might not be able to sell a house online? And this is where I talk about a shoulder niche, or even a lateral niche, where it's maybe something in the same industry that you have some experience in as well. So using a real estate agent as an example, they probably have some experience in home decor, probably landscaping, those types of things, like house related things. So things that people, or that a real estate agent has picked up over the years that might not be their number one expertise, but they're the kind of things that they know about that they can then transition to an online knowledge exchange type of business, moving to more of like maybe a consulting education kind of model. Now, what this usually leads to is people being, okay, well, I'm a real estate agent, can't really sell real estate during this world, but I do know a little bit about landscaping, but not a lot. And this is where I like to invoke the catch me if you can clause. So for those of you that have seen the movie, it's about a man named Frank Abagnale, who was a con man when he was young. And one of the things that he did was he was a sociology professor at Brigham Young University for a semester. He had no experience in sociology whatsoever. And so during his biography, people asked, why or how did you manage to do that? And he said it was quite simple. I just needed to stay one chapter ahead of my students. And when you're looking at a lateral niche to try to bring your business online, that's all you need to do. You just need to be one chapter ahead of the people that you're trying to help. So maybe your business doesn't directly fit into one of those three models, and maybe you can't directly use your knowledge or experiences of your industry right away. There's always that lateral niche where you can kind of teach and move on from. Using that kind of strategy, you can then take your square peg of a business and force it into that round hole. And again, I mentioned that the world has changed. Your business probably will need to change as well. And so when we started this whole adventure, your business was one thing, but when it comes out of the other side, it might be something maybe not completely different, but definitely changed in hopefully a positive way, right? All right. The next thing, the one-size-fits-all marketing plan that transforms buyers into strangers. The first thing you're going to note when you move your business from offline to online is that the world is way, way bigger. If you're used to kind of competing in a local market where you've just got your brick and mortar store or your business where people come in and chat with you, moving online, the competition is much larger, much more fierce. And so what we want to do is we want to take that kind of local business style and fit it into that online world. So what I mean by that is we live in a small town, we'll say the West Shore. It is a community, and it's a small, tight-knit community as compared to, say, a bigger city like New York, or even on a more larger scale like the province. We want to take that and build our own community online so that we can sell within that community as opposed to trying to market to the entire world. So here is the way that we are going to do that. The first thing that we have to recognize is that our business, and any business, is getting people to say yes. Whether you're selling online, you're selling shoes, you're getting some people say yes to your shoes. Say you're a tax preparation person, you're getting them to say yes to your tax preparation services. Wherever we go, it is getting people to say yes. So here's what we go is the cost of getting someone to say yes. So we've broken the model here into 3 different types of leads. There's a cold lead, there is a warm lead, there are hot leads. So a cold lead, of course, is someone that you have never met before in your entire life. Now, in order to get that person to say yes, it's going to take a lot of money or a lot of time. If someone is a warm lead, so they kind of know you already, maybe a little bit less time, a little less money in advertising. If someone's a hot lead, maybe they purchased from you in the past, they know you, they trust you, they're going to say yes to you a heck of a lot easier. So how do we take someone from that cold position, move them into that hot position in an online capacity? Well, historically, from an offline method, someone comes into your shop, your store, phones your business. They come in, you talk to them. I call it the attract stage, and then you try to sell to them. And that is it, because you typically didn't have a mechanism to build that relationship. I mean, you built a micro relationship while they're in your store, your shop, however you communicate with people, but it's very quick, and you've got to sell them before they leave your store, right? Well, the online world is so much more bigger that we have to add a number of extra steps in place to not only kind of develop that trust with people, but to build a community as well, to take that, that small community that we have here in the West Shore for our businesses and build it out online. So there's four quadrants that I like to work from here. The first one is attract. This is where you want to hang out wherever your audience is hanging out. With the world of social media now, it's so easy to communicate with your prospective customers, to people who are having challenges that your business solves. So there's Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, there's WordPress, so blogging, content marketing. There are so many ways that you can communicate with your audience. So it's a matter of finding out where do they hang out, and you need to be hanging out with them as well, helping them solve the problems, getting to know them a little bit better. Once you've kind of figured out where they are and what their problems are, this is where you're going to capture their information. You're going to find a way to either collect their email address, maybe their phone number. You can text them, get them into a messenger bot chat, that type of thing. You want to find a way that you can communicate with them on a regular basis. Now, typically, you're going to do this using what's called a lead magnet. So this is a lot of times you'll go to a website and it'll say, enter your email address and we'll send you, this guide on how to do this or that. That's what this is all about. It's about creating an exchange for their contact information. I know a lot of people are hesitant to give up their email address just for the sake of giving it up. You need to purchase their email address via this lead magnet, and this is a critical piece right here. The next step, once you've actually captured a way to communicate with them on a regular basis, you need to nurture that relationship. So you communicate with them on a regular basis, you educate them on a regular basis, and there are a lot of tools to do that. YouTube, creating videos on how to do whatever it is within your business, LinkedIn groups, doing things over Zoom, webinars, regular email, going over messenger bots, or even Facebook groups, those types of things. You want to be in a position of authority and trust, so that people will eventually, once you've built up that trust, you'll be able to sell to them. So this is kind of the only time that I feel that sell, that getting someone to say yes, is going to be a heck of a lot easier, is when they've gone through the attract, the capture, and the nurture phase. If you've just attracted someone and then moved to the sell, the odds of getting them to say yes, as I've said before, is quite slim. But if you've moved them through attract, capture, nurture, and then sell, the saying yes is going to be a lot easier. Plus, you've built a community as well. And that's critical, especially nowadays when we are moving from an offline to an online capacity. We want to make sure that we've got that built-in safety net, so that if anything ever goes wrong again, we are able to kind of call on our community. I mean, we've seen it often when, like GoFundMe, for example. And if anyone is in financial dire, maybe for health reasons, they build a GoFundMe, the people who really step up in those cases are family, the community that someone has built up over their life. And it's the same thing with business. You need to have that built-in community to support you as you move forward. And especially when you're transitioning from offline to online, that community and support is extremely important. So the one final step in this is you may want to, or you may feel a need for Attract. Well, I've got to be on Instagram. I've got to be on Facebook. I've got to be on Pinterest. I've got to be everywhere. You need to pick just a single tool and platform for each stage. It's important that you stay focused, because once you're moving kind of along, you don't want to be like a crow and kind of chase after all the shiny objects and everywhere and try to be everywhere to everyone all at once. It's extremely important to be focused, especially when you're moving from that position there. So with that, we'll probably be opening up the floor to questions based on what we've kind of already talked about. So we've gone through the three models, the e-commerce, the online services, and then the consulting education. We've talked about the way that any business can be brought online. So if you don't naturally fit into one of those three components, there's a way to bring it in there. And then the marketing plan for how to really simplify that community building and getting people to say yes. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to just minimize my piece here and bring Mr. Burge back in as well.
Hello, Mr. Whiteley.
Hello, Mr.
Yes,
Whiteley.
thank you. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks very much. So with that, we're at about 50 minutes. So we're getting better at timing these things in terms of delivery. But we're going to open it up to questions. So you can either use the chat function to ask a question, or I think I've enabled there should be a little hand there on your module as well, which you can click if you want to speak and ask a question via kind of audio, and then we can unmute you and allow you to do that as well. But let's see. There's I don't see any questions in the chat yet. So we'll give people a minute.
Well, while we're doing that, maybe what I'll do is I will set up the future-proofing checklist here. So we've created a beta tool that is you should see a little offers tab kind of pop up there. So this is a tool that we've created to kind of walk you through the selection process of kind of how you're going to bring your business online, and it's used as a guide more than anything to kind of make some decisions on where you want to go, and then keep yourself accountable to those decisions as you move through the transition from trying to go from offline to online. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions coming in. I'm going to answer kind of top to bottom. So the most recent one, Sarah from the Chamber had asked, will you be hosting another webinar next week? Great question. Actually, I was going to add that to the slides, but we just kind of confirmed it this morning. So the answer is yes. So we're going to be doing weekly webinars. So we're going to try to keep it to every Thursday at 11, so the same time. Next week, we're going to have a new guest speaker. It's going to be Mark Stoiber, who some of you probably know is a local brand strategist and consultant. He is fantastic at what he does. And he actually has a couple of examples where he is helping clients right now pivoting their brand from offline to online. And so he's going to walk through the actual process of what he's doing right now with these two clients. So yeah, next Thursday, Mark Stoiber. So we'll send out more information about that by email. Mike asked the question, what is your position on ebook giveaways versus purchase? So Chris, I'm going to let you take that one.
Okay. I think ebooks, or like our traditional lead magnet, there are a lot of different types of lead magnets as well that you can come up with. But from the ebook side of things, the great part is if you use an ebook as a giveaway, it typically should solve a problem that your prospective customer is going to have. The great part is that when that problem is solved, there is likely going to be another problem on top of that. So how I like to work things is you solve a major problem for free via the ebook or another lead magnet, Once they've kind of gone through that and recognized that, hey, I've got another major serious problem that's come up, that's when you can kind of use that purchase as like you can sell them, your services or another ebook or a course. That helps develop the trust as well. So if you just had your ebook for sale right off the bat and said, here, buy my book, the odds of someone buying it is gonna be pretty slim. But if you give them something, you're helping them. You're helping them solve a problem. You're teaching them, kind of bringing them into your community. Once they're there, they recognize they have more problems. That's when they're going to come to you and pay for the solution to the other problems.
Excellent. Okay, another question we have here, this is a good one, is any advice on security issues with some platforms, for example, Zoom? So great question, Thomas. And of course, a lot of us have probably heard about the Zoom video bombing that has happened. It was even on the TV news. So there have been some issues with that, and I know that Zoom acted quickly to resolve some of those. For example, they're recommending that rather than just set up a Zoom meeting, and I think actually it's a default now, you can't just go ahead and launch a meeting right away. You have to make it a private meeting requiring a password, and they're also recommending that you don't give the attendees the ability to share their screen. Only the presenter can share their screen. It's interesting. I was on a Zoom call last night. It was actually called Happy Hour with Chip and Dave, Chip Connolly and Dave Stewart. Some of you might know them, but there was about 300 people on the call. And they hadn't unmuted everybody, so there was no Zoom bombing. But at certain points, of course, as soon as you start talking, that person's image will appear on the screen as well. So it got a bit comical. But yeah, if you do that, make sure that everybody is muted. Chris, do you have any other points on security for either Zoom or other tools?
Yeah, because actually I had a conversation with my wife about this the other day, because she was proposing using it for one of the communities that she's in, and one of the people said, I don't want to use Zoom because it's not secure. One of the reasons why Zoom also kind of got hit in the news is they use the term end-to-end encryption in their sales media, which wasn't actually accurate in terms of they were using it more of like a way to say, hey, our stuff is encrypted and people won't be able to hack into it, but they weren't using actual end-to-end encryption. So that also set off a lot of kind of security issues. So, I mean, with anything like Zoom or any other platform where you might be sharing sensitive information, it's definitely best to do your research. My philosophy is that if you're online, your information is probably going to be available to someone who wants it. So it's really important to kind of determine what level of security is needed for what you're talking about. So, for example, with my wife's thing, it was a parish council kind of planning meeting. It was public information anyway, so if someone hacked into it, it's not really that important that if it went, out into the public. But if you're, for example, the Prime Minister of Britain, and you're showing screenshots and you're talking about sensitive information on a platform that might not be secure, well, that's a problem. So you need to, if you're doing something that's secure, you need to do your research and really figure things out for sure.
Awesome, thank you. That was all the questions that have come through the chat so far. We're at about 57 minutes, so almost an hour. So we'll just give it a second and see if anyone else has any questions. They can either type in through the chat or hit the little raise hand icon. If there are no other questions, then we will wish you a good day and hope that you got some value out of today's webinar and are able to apply some of these things to your own business. Like I said, we'll have a recording, so it takes a little while to actually process. So we'll probably send out an email either later today or tomorrow with a link to the recording. And then if you do want to take part in that offer for the checklist, go ahead and do that. And then we're also offering a free kind of 15-minute consultation to go through that with you as well and help you get your business set up, or just answer any other questions that you have that you might not want to open up in a public forum here. So thanks very much, everybody. Yeah, thanks for I'm seeing some of the comments there. That's awesome. Thank you so much. and have a great day. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care, and bye for now.
All right. Thanks, everybody.